Growing up, my grandfather was my best friend. He would ask me questions about the big issues of the day and then sit patiently as my young mind tried to make sense of the world. He was a master storyteller, and on one occasion he asked me, how would I tell my story? I told him I didn't know. He said, once I figured that out, I would find my purpose. Years later, I became a storyteller myself, but it wasn't until I had kids of my own that I remembered what my grandfather's thoughtful questions had done for me. So, starting at home at the turn of the millennium, applying the Bloom system, which uses key life questions to encourage self-discovery, I started interviewing kids once a year in hopes of helping them find their stories.
Mi nombre es Luciano Alejandro Araneda Concha.
I'm 12 years old, but I'm almost 13.
If you had a crystal ball, what is the one thing you'd like to know about your future?
I'd like to know who my wife will be and who my kids will be. I want to give my children all the things I've never had growing up.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
When I turn 18, I want to join the military, but I have concerns because of my eye.
When I was 6 months old, the doctor told me I had cancer in my right eye. So the surgeon removed my eye just in time and barely saved my life. From then on, I've been used to this fake eye.
What is the most difficult thing you've had to deal with because of your eye problem?
The most difficult thing is the psychological problems. Most of the boys around here tease me, but that's okay. I just lost one eye. I have the strength of 2 eyes in one.
So I heard some missionaries came to your door. What happened there?
The missionaries told me that I have worth and that I could do a lot of good for people. For the last 2 months or so, I've been going to church.
What did your father say about you being baptized?
He said no. He said I'd have to wait to prove it wasn't just a thing of the moment. But when the situation happened with my mom, I stopped believing because I thought God had lied when he said me and my family could be happy.
So Luciano, what did happen with your mom?
She left us when I was 4 years old. From that time on, we haven't had our mother in the house. The only one taking care of me was my father. But when he started working, I was very upset and worried because I thought he was never going to come back and leave me alone as my mother did. One time I went to see my mother, and after one night I had my father pick me up because I just missed him so much. My father and I have a relationship where we can't be apart for very long. A day apart is too much for us. We are very close. If I had a wish, it would be that my mom would come back and we could be a happy family again.
First question I always ask, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I want to go on a mission for church.
What are your grades like in school?
They aren't perfect, but they're good.
What about some of that teenager stuff? Drugs, sex, alcohol?
I have the willpower to say no. And my friends that deal with those problems, I will do my best to help them.
What are the chances your mom will come back?
There is a chance, because she's having trouble with the man she is living with now. So because of this, I think she will come back. I would like my mom to come home for my dad, not for my sake. He's the one that is alone, that is suffering.
How would it make you feel if your mom came back?
If she comes back, I will not feel anything. I don't really care.
I don't believe you.
You don't know what my mom has done. You don't know the things I've gone through. I got a call from my father one day. He told me to come home. When I got there, I found out that after talking with the missionaries again, my father agreed to let me be baptized.
When you say your dad talked to the missionaries, there was one in particular that meant a lot to you. In fact, this is the missionary that baptized you.
Other missionaries came to me, but they were not like Elder Nelson.
Luciano was loving every minute of everything. He was just getting baptized, and his parents were nice to each other, and Luciano was so happy.
I pray for Sam in the mission field.
When we left, he was like crying. He was like, oh, he's just the sweetest kid.
I knew I was going to miss him a lot.
I feel so good with the joy in my heart. I wish this feeling could last my whole life. I want Luciano to grow up and be a good man and be a good worker and fulfill all his goals. I wish him to grow as a child and be healthy. I was on the way to a meeting when I got a call that Luciano had been in an accident. I assumed maybe he fell or that a car hit Luciano. But when I found out it was a train that hit him, my mind assumed the worst. When I got to the hospital, I saw Luciano. His leg and arm had been amputated, but he was still alive. I remember the exact moment the accident happened. I was riding my bike near the tracks, and I got too close when the train came by, and it sucked me and my bike into the tracks. I hoped my arm could be saved, but it couldn't. I remember everything. How the train cut my arm. It is stuck in my mind.
How's your dad taking it?
Sometimes he feels helpless, because he's here in the hospital and he can't do anything to really help me. He also feels guilt because he's the one who told me to get on the bike and go to where he was. I worry more about my dad than I do myself.
You're a good son.
He's a good dad.
Well, your dad told me a story that on the day of the accident, they brought you here to the intensive care, and you actually saw the accident on the news and saw your grandparents crying while being interviewed. What did you do?
I used the nurse's cell phone and called them and told them I was getting better and we would all be okay.
You've had some bad fortune in your life, with cancer, your eye, your mom, and now this accident. Are you mad at God?
No.
I'm mad at myself. I was lying here last night just mad at myself for not being smart enough to stay away from the tracks. I was too close. And now it caused my family and friends so much pain and heartache.
This will affect my life in a lot of ways.
Are you still interested in computer programming?
Sí.
Do you think you can be an example of hope to others?
I don't want to be an example. I just want to go back to being the same kid I was. I still feel the same. This is just a moment in time. I won't be sad about it forever. I just need to restart my life again. My goals are to get out of the hospital, go home and start healing, get some prosthetics and be able to stand up and walk again. We just have faith that together we will be able to get through this.
You have a crystal ball. What do you want to know most about your future?
That my kids will be healthy.
Luciano, I want you to close your eyes and think of the happiest memory from your childhood.
When I got out of kindergarten and I hugged my father,
I seem to remember you're a pretty good hugger.
I will give half hugs, but I will give them twice as hard.
So we left the hospital, obviously, and I started a new life. For example, it's like being a baby all over again. You have to learn how to eat, how to walk.
How much pain were you in throughout this whole period?
A lot of pain.
And where did it hurt?
En el orgullo.
My pride.
Yo siempre soy una persona.
I've always been that kind of person that likes to do everything independent, do everything on my own. That's why I say it's like being reborn, because you feel small, you feel defenseless all over again. What scares me is crossing the street with a wheelchair. It makes me feel like I can't help or control anything.
Me sentí indefenso.
Luciano, please. Luciano. Ya, hombre. Hace bien el video.
And I ended up having more surgeries and losing even more of my arm and leg. That's where I was when I heard that you and the Nelsons had used my school of life project footage to raise money to bring me to the States for treatment. I couldn't believe that so many people I didn't know could care about me.
Yeah, when Sam called and told me about the accident, it was just devastating. This just wonderful little kid that had become a part of the School of Life project, and you know, so much potential, so much grit. So we put a film together using the footage from his School of Life footage, and showed it around, and immediately 300 people donated. People didn't even know him, just like that. Incredible generosity. But we still needed more money to put in prosthetics for life, and so that's when the Baker family from Southern California stepped forward. They said they'd had a family meeting and that they wanted to take this on as a project, and I'm forever grateful to them. When you heard that all these people had donated money and the lawyers and doctors are donating their services, how did it make you feel?
At first, I had no words. I took it as an opportunity and a promise to me and to them. I will move forward for them. I'm going to win. For all the people who have helped me, look how much I've been able to achieve because of you. Even when it took 14 months for the US to grant me a medical visa, I think knowing people believed in me made the difference. And then it happened. My father and I received the visa. The Bakers sent the tickets, and we were off to spend Christmas with the Stevensons and the Nelsons, whose kids performed their annual Christmas play in our honor in the worst Spanish I've ever heard.
Si estaban listos a tener un bebé, si estaban listos a tener un bebé.
In the new year, we traveled to Loma Linda, where the top doctors in the world who build the most advanced prosthetics were willing to treat me. Many of the Iraqi veterans get treated there. I remember you mentioned that I've been a runner and they threw in a $50,000 foot for running. Talk about motivation.
After your accident, during our interview in the hospital, I asked you if you wanted to be an example, and you said, no, I just want to be a normal kid.
Back then, I just wanted everything to be back to normal and thought that everything was going to be back again, like it was before.
What changed?
¿Qué cambió?
Mucho.
A lot.
Simplemente.
I noticed that I could talk to people and change the way that they think because I tell them my story, and my story has changed the way that they think about themselves and the way that they think about life. Do you know Nick Busick? He's a motivator, and he's missing all 4 limbs. He's been my idol before and after the accident. Yeah, my final goal is to become a psychologist. Because I want to meet people who have the same issues that I do so I can help them. My future. If I can raise the support, I want to come back in a year for college and start working with people like me. I've been given so much and have a lot to give in return. Even though I've lost my right eye, my right leg, and my right arm, I can do anything. After all, I still have my left side. It's my lucky side.
So start off by telling me your full name.
Hans Olaf Bennett.
Do you like school?
Well, my favorite part would probably be PE because you get to do games and exercise. Well, it's just exciting. I'm good at playing instruments.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
I was thinking maybe a doctor.
So why a doctor?
So I can treat all kinds of diseases, and I'll know a lot.
What was it like for you when you heard that news?
Scary.
So Hans, where are you?
In the infusion room. They're gonna access my port.
They're gonna stick a needle in that?
Well, I think I remember I started laughing, like chuckling, because I didn't know what to do. And then my parents started crying. And then I still had a smile on my face, but I was like wondering what was going on. So then there was nurses, and it was as if they were like waiting just around the corner. And then they just come out with the medicine, and they're like, okay, you have to take this. And I'm like, and they're like, what are you waiting for? And they got me a room. My parents took sort of like shifts. My sisters, I think, came to see me, and then they went back home with one of my parents while one of my parents stayed.
Yeah, I have leukemia. It's a blood cancer.
And when were you diagnosed?
8.
Are you going through treatment?
Yeah, I'll be done with it when I'm 12.
Take 100 kids your age and rate yourself in terms of happiness, with 100 being the most happy.
I do probably an 80.
What could make you happier?
Doing service for others.
You're all done with your appointment today. Now what happens?
I gotta take a link off my chain.
What's that chain, Hans?
It's how many more clinic appointments I have until I'm done. Dun dun dun.
So when is the last time you cried, and why?
At home, because I was in pain.
So you hurt so much sometimes that it makes you cry.
I have a port right here, which is because they have to stick a needle in me every time. They don't want to keep making holes in my arm, so they put this permanent thing in that has a tube that goes into my vein so they can just take blood out.
So do you feel sick most of the time?
Yeah, but it's not that bad.
What would you like to know most about your future?
How long will I live?
Do you ever feel angry?
Yeah. I'm near the end, actually. We're in the last 6 months area because it ends at the end of July. I'm finished with treatment.
What's the most difficult thing emotionally that you've ever dealt with?
Probably, the reason why I got cancer.
Like kind of why me?
Yeah.
Do you ever get an answer to that question?
Yeah, well, in our religion, I'm not quite sure what others are like, but life is a test, and it was God testing me. And sometimes it's unfair, but I also am thankful because it's given me an understanding of, a greater understanding of things.
So I caught Hans one day dancing to the song 99 Red Balloons, and so I knew he liked it, and then I thought about red balloons and the Leukemia Society and how it'd be fun to have 99 balloons at his party.
Instead of having to put my arm a bunch of times, they just put the needle in there, and it was easier to get blood. And now it's been taken out. And so we have this to represent my port. Stand back.
What's your name?
Hans Bennett.
How old are you?
I'm 13.
What's the biggest problem you're dealing with right now?
Probably my anxiety.
I mean, part of this shift for him has been the way he felt treated while he was ill versus how he's treated now. It's mostly about attention. The people were really kind and understanding, you know, everyone was. And he's said, now I'm expected sort of to go right back into school and be like I'm all better, and he's finding that, remember he called it the adjustment period wasn't long enough for him? And he's developed this panicky thing that happens when you talk about school.
We've been trying to go to school for about a year and a half, and we were doing okay until November, and then in November we stopped going.
So I guess they're finding out now that depression or anxiety is a side effect of surviving cancer. It wasn't a problem a few years ago because kids were not surviving it, but now they're finding this out. What's your greatest fear?
Probably being re-diagnosed.
Greatest longing?
Probably just to have a normal life.
So you've made progress?
Yeah.
How would you describe your progress?
I've been moving forward with my life. It's very common when I have anxiety. And overcoming it is really just about putting things into perspective.
Putting it in perspective, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Comparing your fear to something that's really dangerous. Like, let's say you're afraid of bees. You might get stung. It'll hurt. It might be swollen. But in the long run, it's not as bad as a snake bite. What you need is experience and putting it into perspective. I haven't really been having all that much anxiety lately.
Describe your perfect Friday evening.
Playing magic with my dad while eating some kind of treat. And then afterwards, the whole family watches a family movie together.
Ice cream, I love that. I mean, I can't not eat it. It's like, I just can't not eat it. Darius Malik Williams Watt. Yeah, it's a long name. You know when I scream, it's not the most prettiest thing to hear, because it's sort of like, ah! And it sounds sort of like some horror movie girl getting eaten. Well, I'm not perfect, but some things about me are perfect. I like my nose. Doesn't that seem sort of conceited? Swimming, that makes me happy for some reason. Halloween's sort of a bore. I mean, you just go around saying trick or treat for candy when you can just buy some. I don't like that whole present idea. If I was like a normal little child, I would probably wish for everything I ever wanted in the whole entire world, but I really don't want candy or presents right now. I don't understand that Big Bang Theory. How can an explosion create something? If you stomp on a broken watch, is it gonna fix? Is it gonna be better? No. There's just so much signs that God exists. I'm just different. I hate redneck towns. I mean, there's nothing to do. I would actually like to move to an area where I can just walk down the street and say hi to someone, because I don't have any friends where I live at, and I don't know how to keep friends very long. I have this Japanese girl named Reiko, but she's not gonna be my friend for very long. Now she's gonna have to move back to Japan. 3 wishes. That I would win the lottery, that I can travel to Japan, that I can be in a hit show that would get like millions of views.
Do you know that just 1 quart of oil down these drains can create an oil slick 2 football fields long? Putting something into these drains is kind of like putting something in your body that's bad for you. Why would you do that?
I think the whole reason I got into acting was to be famous, because I want somebody to know my name. I would not like to be ugly, because then I probably wouldn't be acting. If I was ugly, then I probably wouldn't get any good acting jobs, and I would have to go through plastic surgery. And I hate surgery so much. Like who would do that? There are 2 definitions of ugly. I mean, if you look pretty bad, I mean, you're probably kind of ugly, but if you're mean, and if you're just very sour, you're probably ugly in like 10 folds. She lived in Seattle for a while, and then she met Rob, my dad, and then they had to get together and they had me. I guess my mom didn't really want to take care of me because she already had 2 children, and this is something that I learned. I didn't really want to, but she was actually planning to abort me. Then my dad was like, "What?" Didn't know. Because he told her not to ever do that, so he kind of saved my life. I think it was a little better choice for the time she was in. She lived in Seattle for a while, and then she met Rob, my dad, and then they had to get together and they had me. So then they kind of split up though, so then I lived with my grandparents. And Pop-Up actually wanted to take care of me. I see Rob maybe once a month. Now he lives in this house with my other sister. But I just don't feel very unwanted because a lot of people want me. I have such a good life over here. I shouldn't be sort of angry at her for not being there. I don't have to compete for love in the family I am now. I'm actually really happy that I got to live with my grandparents. I feel a little bit more closer with them than anybody else. People make me angry a lot of times, especially when they misunderstand me. Well, let's just say I can be a little girly sometimes. I mean, all the boys are really into sporty stuff, and all the girls are into really girly stuff. So if I even touch a Polly Pocket, they're like, "What are you doing with that Polly Pocket, Darius?" I look differently than most kids. I'm more mature than most kids. I guess I was just different and wonderful and awesome. Well, I don't really want to be that masculine. It's not like I'm gay. I play with dolls, but it doesn't mean I'm gay. I actually have a lot of dolls. I have a problem with playing with dolls in front of some people, like my dad. He kind of sees it kind of strange. I guess he just doesn't want me to be made fun of. The only people that are really different in my family are my grandma and my grandpa. The other people are sort of like a sitcom, you know? That dad is like, "Dude, what are you doing with those Polly Pockets? You need to get out there and play football." I think I would maybe actually listen to what he said if he was actually raising me, but he's not. My grandparents tell me it's okay if I can play with dolls. I would rather listen to them. I don't show much emotional pain, but I tend to try to forget about that, and it kind of just goes away. I guess I would want to be a little bit more known, and I would have a little bit more friends since, you know, ever since Reiko moved away, it's kind of been lonely. Since I'm homeschooled and sometimes I don't get out much, but I guess I'm trying to make a little bit more friends, but kids are mean.
I don't like to cry, but I do it a lot. I just wish people would actually understand me more often because I'm way smarter than them. I just wish they wouldn't be so childish. I have friends online, 10 Tally, SDA exclusive, Girls in Black, 1534100 something. You know, it doesn't really matter sometimes, but I would still like a friend.
I do take hormone blockers, so it just stops puberty. I have to take a blood test before I go on estrogen, which I'm really not wanting to do because I have a fear of anything with needles and blood. I've been a lot less angry because the testosterone that I was getting made me really angry. It is kind of frustrating. I mean, I can't do anything about the anatomy that I have right now until I'm 18. I wish I would have done this at a really young age because it's hard to explain to people this. It's hard being like, oh, I feel like a woman, especially to like middle school kids. I felt really unnatural. I felt like I was developing more of a body that I didn't want. I want to develop more as a female, but then I'm getting like hair and stuff like that, and it's like, what is this? Like, this is not natural. It feels like I'm in another person's body, and I don't appreciate it. Let me get it out. It's from American Apparel.
Oh, it's cool.
And it kind of reminds me of a composition notebook, so I like this. It's my onesie for when it gets cold. So I'm really cute with my Hello Kitty.
Cool.
And it has feet. So, yeah. I don't feel as a homosexual. I feel more as a straight woman. I didn't like try to like wear girl clothes. If I tried to do what I'm doing right now as a male, it would just not work. I would look like Fred Flintstone in a dress. But after when I like was given the ability to like pick what I want from stores, I would always want like something more colorful than what was in the boys aisle. Once I started doing it, it just felt like, oh, like it was me. I'm just being me. Why is that so extraordinary? It's a tennis skirt because I like bringing it with the like schoolgirl, naughty, sexy schoolgirl outfits, I guess. The last teacher I had, I knew she was lesbian because she would always talk to me about like LGBT stuff. It's like, I don't care, lady, teach me science, please. I don't want to be the hero. I just want to be normal, and I feel like that's normal for me. It's always been in my mind. I'm very different. That's what I've learned. Wish I could just like snap on and off how my appearance looks because I don't think I passed that well as a female. I've been harassed at bus stops before. I've been pushed into a bush. I always feel like someone is gonna attack me. I will always get like the stank face or like the stank eye if I use like the women's bathroom. I don't want people like attacking me, obviously, for like trying to like relieve my bladder. I started school since I was homeschooled. I just have like a new sense of not liking people and just having a low tolerance for foolishness. I'm kind of a mix between social and antisocial. Even though I don't like people, it's still better to be around them than to not be. People like me or they want to stay away from me. And all my friends are usually girls because guys really don't give me the time of day most of the time. But I just don't see myself in a relationship with one. Every guy thinks that I have a crush on them. I think that's really derogatory and rude because they obviously don't like every girl. So why do I like every guy in existence? But people just don't think like that. I'm not a freaking three-headed dragon. Like, I'm not that bad if you get to know me. I don't bite. Sometimes I just feel like I have no purpose, and it's just like so like overbearing, just like living. If I didn't have my grandparents, I don't know what I would do. I always feel like something bad is gonna happen to my grandparents, and I'm gonna be like forced to live with my dad. And that's like one of my worst fears. I don't feel like my father would like actually let me go on hormones or anything like that, or my mom. And I always feel like he puts my sister on a higher pedestal than I. The attitudes in that house are unhealthy, and I can't deal with it. If there's a God, I would ask him if what I was doing is wrong. I want to know if what I'm doing is like a sin. Because if it is, then I'm going to hell. Like, I don't know if I would stop being transgender, because it's not something you just stop doing, but I feel like I would definitely be a lot more, I would be really confused. I want to live my life to where I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to be an asshole. I'm going to be nice to everybody, and if there is a God, then he'll probably be okay with that. I'm taking spiralactone, which is like a hormone blocker, so like my testosterone doesn't go up. And then I'm taking estrogen, like just like a pill. It gives me pregnancy side effects sometimes, so like, I don't know, weird cravings, like enhanced like sense of smell sometimes, and other things that I don't want to go into right now. I'm not going to spend money for someone to be like, okay, now you're fine now, you're right. That is not something I want to have to go through. They like cut it open and like slit shit and pull it and like shove it back in there. I mean, it's great if you want to do that. Those vaginas probably look a lot better than some real ones. I don't want to spend that much money on a hole. I always wish things are different, but like I can't go to sleep and, you know, wish on the tooth fairy to like grant my magic wish. You can't live every day regretting like who you are. You can't really change who you are. I think he's just afraid of change. I mean, when I came out as trans, I don't know if he really took it that well. He is my dad and I love him, but I just don't know if he really knows what to do. He wasn't really there for me when I was like going through all of the trans stuff, so he doesn't really connect with me like my grandparents do. I feel like sometimes I'm more of the adult in a conversation with him. It's not really his fault, and I don't expect him to be all like, I need to spend all my time with you, because he already has a daughter. I really, really hated 8th grade, but it wasn't as bad as 6th and 7th grade. I'm disappointed in who I was. I don't really know what my 6th grade self was doing. The people that I used to hang out with, like, the guys were hella rude. My friends, like, they would just be like crickets. I'm, like, always, like, standing up for somebody if they can't stand up for themselves. It's like, who's gonna stand up for me? And one of my best friends, like, who was in that group too, like, she went off to rehab. I was really mad for a long time. But then I met these people and it's like, they call me and they're like, do you want to hang out? And it's like, I feel like I'm actually included somewhere. Also, I have like guy friends now too. I feel like I'm just in a lot better place right now. I don't let people like actually get under my skin. They can't see that. They don't get to. If people just lived in a world where someone says they're a girl, they're a girl. Someone says they're a guy, they're a guy. And if you like them, you go after them. Your soulmate could be like transgender, but you won't date them because they're transgender. But like if people just thought about the person and not the body, like everyone would be so happy. Freshman year, I don't know if I really want to lose my virginity. I'm not one of those girls that's like sex obsessed, and I can't really be. I want to like get to know myself more. I want to be an adult when it happens. Like maybe I'll lose it if I'm 18. I want to travel. I don't know, I want to have fun. I want to be successful. I want to do something that's relatively easy, but also something I enjoy doing. So I don't know, like a Kardashian. I need to stop taking everything so seriously and take things slow. I don't have to decide what I need to do in my life right now. I don't think I would want to be any other way.
Our stories, whether we're trying to find our place in the world or on the roadmap to adulthood, who we love, who we are, who we want to be, what we live for, and what we would die for. Our stories are ours and ours alone. But who will write them? Who will tell them? And how will they be epic?